fellas, we just came off Bonfim versus Brown with Randy Brown getting absolutely livid by Gabriel Bonfim in quite a controversial stoppage. And this is one of those classic Apex cards. It's a little bit like JDM. Not the prettiest on the outside, but it does the job and it performs well. This again, 2 weeks in a row, the last two Apex cards have been criticised on paper because they have been pretty weak on paper. And they've performed well. A shit ton of bangers on this card, which we're going to just go straight into with Zachary Reese versus Jackson Mcvey opening up the card. Zachary Reese gets the sub in the second round. And again, this was a banger. Jackson Mcvey comes with heat early on. Zachary Reese takes him down. And the second the fight goes to the ground, second submission loss in a row for Jackson Mcvey. Zachary Reese gets the submission win. But yeah, Mcvey batters Reese early on. And I thought he looked really good. I know it was short notice for Zachary Reese. It was supposed to be that Swedish guy, whatever his name is. What's his name? You know who I'm talking about. The guy who had like 3 losses in the UFC. But Jackson Mcvey battered Zachary Reese early on, got him in the clinch, elbowed the shit out of him, nearly dropped him at some point. And I was looking at Jackson Mcvey like, damn, with a full training camp, this guy could be a problem. And then obviously the fight goes to the ground. Reese dominates him with the grappling, and he gets the submission whenever Jackson Mcvey and gets him out of there. I do hope the UFC keep Mcvey around. Like, I think he's got 100%. Well, every single one of his fights, apart from this one, has been finished in the first. And obviously this one was finished in the second. But he's a fun guy. Like I said, high finishing rate. And early on, the guy didn't waste no time. He got obviously kicked in the leg and then he was just walking forward, trying to stand and bang with Zachary Reese. And he had success as well. So, yeah, he's never gone the distance. The guy's just pure violence. I say we'll let him have one more fight in the UFC. You know, he's fun. And again, Zachary Reese, for your second fight in the UFC when you lost your first, isn't the easiest guy to face. And the fact that he actually put Zachary Reese through it, first of all, as well, you've got to give him credit. And again, his UFC run has been Bruno Hyder and Zachary Reese. I'm not saying he's ever going to be some like big fighter or go on this big run, but for your first 2 fights in the UFC, it's not the easiest, you know, 2 guys to have. So I say we keep Jackson Mcvey around. Fun guy, but a good win for Zachary Reese. Short notice, gets Jackson Mcvey out of there. I think he's on like a 2-fight winning streak now as well. So good win for Zachary Reese. Then we had Miles Johns versus Daniel Marcos. Another submission in the second round to Daniel Marcos as he gets the job done over Miles Johns. Yeah, Daniel Marcos looked improved in this fight. The second the fight that got to the ground, well, not the second, but when the fight, you know, when he started dominating the ground game, he gets the submission whenever Miles Johns chokes him out cold as well, unconscious, limp on the floor as well. Yeah, this is a great finish by Daniel Marcos. A finish I feel like he needed as well, because when was the last time that Daniel Marcos finished somebody? It's been a few years as well. He's had a couple of these controversial decisions and he's finally got a good finish as well. Dominated the stand-up over Miles Johns, dominated on the ground with the wrestling, choked him out cold as well, which was kind of satisfying to see because I don't hate it, but it's quite irritating when it's in the Apex and you can tell that the family of one of the fighters is in the crowd and they like scream over everything. And I remember when Miles Johns landed a calf kick and they were like screaming as if he just slept Daniel Marcos. So it was kind of satisfying to see Daniel Marcos submit Miles Johns. But Johns is just simply an overhand merchant. He's never been that talented. He's just an overhand right merchant. Decent wrestling, throws this massive overhand from hell. And if it lands, he gets the KO win. If he doesn't, he gets picked apart. And that happened in this fight. Daniel Marcos was able to withhead the overhand, pick him apart, took the fight to the ground, submitted Miles Johns. Probably going to cut Miles Johns from the UFC now. You know, he's a bit of a journeyman. He's now on a 3-fight losing streak with 2 of them being by way of finish. So he's probably out the UFC. But it was a great fight. You know, Miles Johns walked forward. Daniel Marcos looked improved. He said he's going to be a problem at this division again. I mean, you can't really base it off a win over Miles Johns. But hopefully we do see this new version of Daniel Marcos. The hungry version. You know, the finish hungry version. But he looked good. And he got the finish. Then we had Tecia Pennington versus Denise Gomes. Surprise, surprise. Denise Pennington goes to a decision. Denise Gomes gets a job done. 24 decisions in 26 fights. Cheers, Pennington. I mean, I feel like Pennington's one of these fighters that would have really benefited from like an atomweight division, like 105 pounds, because she's too small, even for the strawweight division. She's had 24 decisions in 26 fights. Probably never going to go to a finish in her life. And there's another one tonight. And she just has absolutely no power for 115. She's a very dynamic fighter, good gas tank, I guess decent striker, but she's got no power whatsoever. She's got no pop in her shots. That's why she gets no finishes and why she's never really able to dominate the stand-up department. And Gomes just simply had a much more physical advantage. She's obviously known for her power. It's Denise Gomes, which is why I picked her to win. She's just an overall better striker, younger as well, better boxing as well. She did kind of spin a little bit too much. She'd throw that spinning back kick like 17 times and it missed in every single time. It was just an average women MMA fight, to be fair. Nothing really notable to go down. Tecia Pennington goes to a decision. She loses a decision. Denise Gomes looked pretty sharp. Yeah, there's not really much to break down. Average women MMA fight is what it is. Tecia Pennington goes to another decision again. I do think she would have benefited from like an atomweight division, but good win for Denise Gomes. And I don't want to call her one of the best prospects in the women MMA, but apart from her, I think she's only lost once in the UFC. And she's obviously powerful on the feet. She is pretty dangerous. So, good win for Denise Gomes to beat Tecia Pennington, who was on a 2-fight winning streak. Hopefully, she can get someone in the top 10. Then we had Josh Hokit, the new Chael Sonnen in the heavyweight division against Max Gimenis. Yeah, dominant win from Josh Hokit in about 50 seconds. Just goes out there and knocks out Max Gimenis in the first round. Sleeps him out cold. Grabs the mic in the Octagon interview as well and starts selling himself. But yeah, was that 40, 50 seconds? Under a minute at least. Hokit just came to take his head off, and yeah, that was pretty much the entire fight. The second the fight started, I mean, Max Gimenis landed a good low kick on Josh Hokit, which was a bit kind of eerie to see when you're not able to take a leg kick from a jiu-jitsu guy. But yeah, Josh Hokit was just bursting towards him, swinging for the fences, missed a couple of times, and then on one of the times he connected and just knocked Max Gimenis out cold against the cage, went for the follow-up shots and put him out cold. But yeah, he just came to take his head off, and that's exactly what he did. And I've said this before, in terms of Max Gimenis, BJJ doesn't mean anything anymore in MMA. You can't get hyped up about somebody having this big BJJ background. We saw a couple of months ago with that Marcus Buchecha guy, this elite BJJ guy, when he fought Martin Badai and got dominated. BJJ doesn't mean anything in MMA alone anymore. You need more from it. And that kind of showed in this fight. Max Gimenis got dominated. Hokit does have star potential, man. Like, I think 100% finishes. He's undefeated. Every single one of his wins have gone by finish. 4 knockouts, 3 submissions. The guy's got, obviously, the record that speaks for itself. And he's got a big personality, too. I know it's a bit corny. It's a bit cringy. It seems like the most Walmart version of Chael Sonnen, but at least he's selling himself. He's going to stand out, he's just going to stand out compared to a lot of these other heavyweights. Like, you look at the rest of the heavyweight division, like Thomas Peterson, Hamdi Abdel Wahab. A lot of these blobs just don't have anything going for him. At least with Josh Hokit, he's dangerous and he's got personality, so I can see him sticking around for a while. I don't know how far it can go because he's not this super athletic guy. He's not fought anybody good, and again, he couldn't really take a low kick from Max Gimenis, but he's got star potential. I imagine he's probably going to be on the White House as well, a White House card as well, because he's like all-American, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see this guy on the prelims on the White House card, or even like a main event against Derek Lewis next year or some shit like that. So, good win for Josh Hokit. Went out there and swung for the fences, knocked out Max Gimenis like I expected. And again, he called out Valter Walker as well, which would be a weird fight. You've got the KO guy, the guy who's sleeping everybody versus the guy who's grabbing everybody's heel. He does kind of remind me of a bit of a Valter Walker victim, just Josh Hokit, so I probably wouldn't make that fight. But anyway, good for Josh Hokit. It's nice when we've got some new kind of guys to get excited for in the heavyweight division. He's one of them. He's a bit of a cornball, but at least he's a personality. And good finish from Josh Hokit. Then we had Mayra Bueno Silva versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Again, just a classic women MMA fight. It seems like all the good women MMA fights have been saved for next week, where Cavalcanti kind of batters Mayra Bueno Silva on the feet across 15 minutes, goes to a decision as expected, and beats Mayra Bueno Silva. The fact that Mayra Bueno Silva fought for a belt last year is laughable. Like, this woman fought for a belt last year in the UFC, and she's now on a 4-fight losing streak, losing to Pennington, Chizuda Vicious, Cavalcanti, and that Macy Shiasen as well. 4-fight losing streak. She fought for a belt last year. She is ass. Cavalcanti bullied her on the feet. I do think there's a bit of a problem with Cavalcanti where she never really tries to go for the finish. Like, she's a talented striker, clearly superior on the feet to nearly everybody, but she never really, takes that risk to go for the finish, which is why she's never going to get these big step-ups. She needs to start going for finishes when there's an opening. But yeah, she bullied Mayra Bueno Silva on the feet. One-dimensional Mayra Bueno Silva, who's only good at grabbing limbs, and hasn't really won a fight. When was the last time Mayra Bueno Silva won? Because even the Holly Holm fight back in like 22, that was a no contest as well. When was the last time Bueno Silva won a fight? I think it's been like 2021 or early 2022 since she's won a fight. She's ass, man. But yeah, it's a shame that Cavalcanti never goes for a finish. She battered Bueno Silva on the feet. Good for her. Undefeated on the UFC, 5-winning streak, beat a former title challenger. And what do you even do with Mayra Bueno Silva? Like, I assume you're going to have to give her some sort of like debutant or some unranked women MMA fighter now, which again is crazy considering she fought for a belt a year ago. So yeah, Cavalcanti gets the job done, beats Mayra Bueno Silva. Then we had Ricky Simon versus Raoni Barcelos. Absolute banger. One of the most evenly matched fights I've seen in a while. And the Raoni Barcelos gets the job done, now on a 4-fight winning streak. This was a banger, man. And like I said, they were both just evenly matched. Like, you've got 2 elite grapplers. Obviously, Ricky Simon, elite grappler. We know Raoni Barcelos to be in this great submission grappler as well. Both powerful on the feet with not the best technique. And they both just stand and bang for 15 minutes, which was the entire fight. And Raoni Barcelos, man, He might be one of the best unks in the UFC. We saw an unk get knocked out in this card on Muslim Salikhov. We saw Davy Grant get a beating the other week. I think Howdy Barcelos might be taking the cake for the best unk in the UFC. He's insane for his age as well. 4 great wins in a row. Gets a finish, then he beats Peyton Talbot, the biggest prospect in the bantamweight division. Then he beats fucking Cody Garbrandt, the former bantamweight champion. And now he's beat Ricky Simon on a winning streak. This guy, he deserves someone in the top 15 now. You know, I think he's probably the best unranked guy in the bantamweight division, and I think there's a couple of guys he could beat in the top 15. I know he lost to Kyler Phillips before. I'd probably favour him to beat Kyler Phillips in the rematch. He seems to be in the form of his career, and he's dangerous everywhere as well. Great submission ability. We saw that in the fight with Garbrandt and Talbot. According in this fight, he's now heavy-handed on the feet. So, for Howdy Barcelos, man, this guy's an absolute unk. Let's give him someone in the top 15. And maybe we need to stop critiquing Peyton Talbot. Maybe Talbot wasn't as bad. In hindsight, losing to Howdy Barcelos in your 3rd fight in the or 4th fight in the UFC, whatever it was, maybe wasn't as bad as a look for Peyton Talbot as it was at the time. But regardless, good win for Howdy Barcelos, and this was a banger of a fight. Both guys stood and bang. Wouldn't surprise me if they both get a 50k bonus as well. Sucks for Ricky Simon. It seemed like he started to get a bit of momentum, and it's now been shut down again. But yeah, I just think the problem with Ricky Simon is he's just not good enough on the feet. He gets hit way too often. He kind of engages in these scraps too often rather than trying to win, which is fun for the fans, but it's never going to get you ranked at that stage. Yeah, good win for Barcelos. Give him 50k and give him someone in the top 15, and I genuinely think he's got a good chance at making it into the top 10. Then we've got Jamal Emmers versus Hyder Amil, where Hyder Amil completely exhausts. So, yeah, Jamal Emmers dominates and gets the job done after that. But yeah, Amil's style, it's so entertaining, but it is just walking forward and swinging for the fences. That is his style. Like, on paper and in action, he's extremely fun. Walks forward, throws down, stands and bangs. He's fun to watch. But there's no surprise why he's absolutely exhausted. You ain't Marab, you ain't got 3 lungs. There's no surprise why you're getting exhausted into the 2nd round. And that's what happened. 2nd round of this fight, Hyder Amil was exhausted. He can't really throw anything back. He was breathing out of his mouth like crazy on the stool in the 2nd round. He was done, and he got dominated because of it. And Emmers, to be fair to him, he got fouled twice. He got 2 groin shots in this fight. And that's another thing I want to bring up as well. When are the referees going to take a point? Like, you get hit in the groin twice in a single fight and you don't take a point. At what stage do fouls become, like, what stage do fouls become punished? Because if I'm a fighter, if I know that I can kick somebody in the fucking balls twice and not get a point taken away, why wouldn't I do it? They need to be harsher on these fouls. But anyway, Emmers gets fouled twice, still dominates the fight, and he looked good tonight, man. Ran through Hyder Amil. Bit of a dodgy career spot for Hyder Amil. Now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. But I think it's just his style, man. He walks forward and throws, but in this particular fight, he was completely gassed out. And good win for Jamal Emmers, man. You know, this guy beat Corey Sandhagen on the regional scene. He's got good, powerful hands. Kind of reminds me a lot of Bobby Green in the way that he fights. Very, very much like Bobby Green defensively. Good wrestling as well, does Jamal Emmers. So good win for Emmers, and I guess Hyder Amil's going to have to step on the treadmill. Then we had Marco Tulio versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Well, I can guarantee this one's going to get a fucking bonus too. The Brit himself, Christian Leroy Duncan, slumps Marco Tulio, who was one of middleweight's best prospects, out cold in front of Charles Oliveira, which must have been brutal to see. Leroy Duncan, man, top 3 best British prospects in the UFC right now. I don't really know if you can class him as a prospect because he's been in the UFC for quite some time. Nasty finish from CLD, though. If we're going to see this CLD every time, sign me the fuck up, man. He dominated this fight. He walked forward at the beginning of the fight instantly in Marco Tulio's face, landed a nasty spinning elbow which kind of rocked and cut up Marco Tulio, and then it was kind of like a back and forth scrap for the rest of the fight. And in the 2nd round, Leroy Duncan lands a massive elbow, drops Tulio, follows up with a right hand, slumps him out cold, and just battered him, slumps him. And that was Marco Tulio, man. This guy was one of middleweight's best prospects. I know he beat Trezzy and Gore, which in hindsight isn't the best win, but Marco Tulio, I said it myself, this guy could have been the next big thing in the middleweight division. So for Christian Leroy Duncan to batter him in the way that he did, fair play, man. And this is if this is, like I said, if this is the CLD that we're going to be seeing every fight, he's going to become a fan favourite, because we've criticised him before in the fact with Andre Poulaiev for being boring. If we see him like this every time, reckless, throwing and getting finishes like this, he's going to become a fan favourite. And I say we give him someone in the top 15. I know he lost to Robocop like 3 fights ago, but he's now on a 3-fight winning streak, 2 KOs in a row, beat middleweight's best prospects. Give him someone in the top 15, man. CLD, get him on London as well next year. They'll be going to London in like March, so get CLD on that card. slumped him out cold. It is a bit of a shame for Marco Tulio, man, because I really did think this guy was going to be like the next big thing in the middleweight division. You know, we'd only had one professional loss. He was on this big winning streak, finishing everybody, beat Yusri Belgarian on the Contender Series, battered Trezeguet Gore, this new shoot-air box phenom, and he kind of took a beating in this fight, and, you know, he had a lot of holes in his game, but yeah, that's just CLD, man. You can't count out the Brits. One of the best British prospects in the UFC. Let's make some fucking noise for CLD. And like I said, if he can fight like this every fight, sign me up. Then we had Ismael Bonfim versus Chris Padilla. Yeah, there's always going to be one brother that lets it down in the UFC, and I'm going to do a video on this in a couple of days about brothers in the UFC, but Ismael Bonfim gets finished by Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla gets the job done. Bonfim's exhausted. Padilla goes for one of the slowest ground and pound finishes I've ever seen, but ultimately gets the job done over Ismael Bonfim, begs for a 50k bonus. Let's see if Dana White gives it him or not, or if he's going to be cruel and give it to somebody else. But yeah, show up, miss weight, gas out, and take a beating. Thank you, Ismael Bonfim, for that, mate. What would we do without Ismael Bonfim? Missing weight, gassing out, taking a beating, and getting finished by Chris Padilla, the journeyman. Thanks, Ismael. One of the big... The fact that this guy as well used to be one of the biggest lightweight prospects. I remember seeing a Reddit post a couple of years back, or months back, whatever, about Ismael Bonfim, and people were hyping him as if he's going to be like the biggest prospect in the lightweight division. Oh, he's got great boxing, great BJJ, a big winning streak. He's a future champion. And then a couple of years later, he's missing weight and getting finished by fucking Chris Padilla on an Apex card. So maybe not as good as we thought, but as bad as Padilla looks, I feel like Padilla's one of these like DDP-esque fighters. He doesn't look good, but he is on a 4-fight winning streak, 3 of them by finish. The guy's on a roll, man. He just bullied Bonfim in there on the feet and on the ground. And you know what? Give him 50k. You know, he said in the post-fight Octagon interview that he's struggling, his family's not doing too well, so I hope Dana at least sets him up financially, even if it's like a full 50k bonus, which he probably deserves, even if it's just like a 30k. If Dana cares about his fighters, he'll sort him out. But good win for Chris Padilla. You know, he's on a 4-fight winning streak now. He's not one of these lightweight prospects that has like a ton of highlight reels behind him, but there's an argument to say that he deserves someone in the top 15 next. I personally don't think he's ready for the top 15, but I mean, if he's going to get someone in the top 15, fair play to him. He's on a roll. He's one of the best up-and-comers at lightweight right now, and Ismael Bonfim, man, what a disappointment. I mean, how can that guy even move to 170? I mean, his brother's in that division, so he can't really move anywhere, but if you're not even able to make weight and you're performing like that, what's next for Ismael Bonfim? How much did he get paid as well for this fight? Like, he probably wasn't on a big contract anyway. He lost. He got fined a bit of his purse. He must have been making like 6k on this fight. So, yeah, good win for Chris Padilla, gets the job done. Then we had Muslim Salikhov versus Uros Medic, a fight that you can guarantee wasn't going to go the distance, and Uros Medic solidifies that as he KOs Muslim Salikhov in just over a minute, just less than a minute actually, knocks out Muslim Salikhov right at the beginning of the first round, knocking him out cold. Medic has to be a contender for like the shortest average fight time in the UFC. He's like the Terence McKinney of 185 or 170 even, where he has this super quick fight time. Starches Muslim Salikhov in the first round. Quick 1-2 down the pipe, gets the job done. Medic is just so heavy-handed. He's one of those weird fighters where he puts together a couple of highlight reels. You want to pick Uros Medic to win, you bet on him to win, and then he gets knocked out cold brutally. And then you start thinking he's chinny, you bet on him to lose, and then he'll sleep somebody else. He is literally a kill or be killed fighter. It's either him getting slept or him sleeping somebody else. So good one for Uros Medic, and it is sad to see Muslim Salikhov go out like this. I really wanted to see that fight with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, or at least a stylistically a favourable fight for Salikhov, but 41 years old, it's never going to match well against speed. This could potentially be a retirement fight as well for Salikhov, because he's going to be out for at least like 9 months. He's going to be 42 next time he fights. It does get to the point where it's like, what more do you have to do? But yeah, it is sad to see Salikhov go out in this way, but good job for Uros Medic. They need to get Uros Medic out of the Apex, man. When was the last time this guy fought in front of a crowd? Get him out the Apex. Let him fight in front of a crowd, because the dude's heavy-handed as fuck. So good one for Uros Medic. Gets the job done again. He's probably going to get a 50k as well. He was going on the post-fight Octagon interview about how he deserves 50k, so he's probably going to get some too. So good one for Uros Medic. Then we had Matt Schnell versus Joseph Morales. Not much can really be broken down about this fight. Matt Schnell returns for his second fight after retirement, and Joseph Morales quickly wraps up Matt Schnell and gets a submission win over Matt Schnell. Yeah, Schnell's probably about to retire a second time. He obviously retired after his loss to Nicolau, came back, beat Jimmy Flick, and now has been finished again. To no surprise, and it's not really good luck when you're submitted by a UFC debutant from the Ultimate Fighter. But to be fair to Joseph Morales, he's looked good so far. Like, he dominated the Ultimate Fighter. He won the Ultimate Fighter in a quick finish. Now he's just got his first win in the UFC in his second debut by submitting the submission artist in Matt Schnell. So, good win for Joseph Morales, man. He could be a thing at 125. It's quite a shallow, I don't want to say it's shallow, but, you know, it's not the most stacked division. It's 125 in terms of, like, prospects and names. So, if Joseph Morales can make a name for himself, fair play. But if I'm Matt Schnell, just retire, bro. You retired before, you came back, didn't really create too much noise. You're 1-1 since retirement. You've been submitted by a debutant. Let yourself off the hook. Go retire. And then for the main event, Gabriel Bonfim versus Randy Brown. A little bit controversial with the stoppage where Gabriel Bonfim knocks him out in the second round. He drops Randy Brown with a massive shot, and the referee just decides at that point it's enough. He stops the fight without any follow-up shots. Randy Brown protests. I don't know if it was an early stoppage. I can see an argument for it being an early stoppage because, again, he dropped Randy Brown, didn't go for a single follow-up shot, and then the referees just stopped the fight without giving Randy Brown a chance to fight back. But with that being said, I feel like referees are so inconsistent with stoppages. Like, on this card, for example, like even the Ismael Bonfim fight, there's times when a fighter will get dropped, look like they're out cold, they'll get ground and pounded for 5 seconds, and only then will the referee decide to stop the fight. And then you've got this fight where Randy Brown gets dropped, doesn't even get a chance to defend himself, and the referee just stops the fight. So I feel like the refereeing in the UFC with everything, although he's just a mess right now with fouls, with stoppages. So I can see a argument why it was an early stoppage, but to be fair to Gabriel Bonfim, he's definitely evolving. Like, he's obviously this submission specialist, this BJJ specialist. He got outstruck against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in his last fight, and he looked sharp on the feet in this fight. He was beating Randy Brown on the feet, and we know Randy Brown for being a good striker, and then he obviously knocks him out, even though there's a bit of controversy. It is just going to be a shame for Gabriel Bonfim, though. Like, he's got 2 ranked wins. One of them was against 41-year-old Stephen Thompson in a fight that he arguably lost, and the second one was a main event where he knocked out Randy Brown, unranked Randy Brown, and it says ranked wins, it wasn't ranked, but an unranked Randy Brown, where Randy Brown was arguably shouldn't have been stopped. So there are major questions with Gabriel Bonfim. He called out Colby Covington. Everybody's called out Colby Covington at this point. I doubt anybody's going to fight him, but he definitely deserves someone in the top 10 next. And yeah, to be fair to Gabriel Bonfim, he's well-rounded. He's on the big winning streak. He's got submission game. He's got striking game. And he's improving, so there's not really much you can break down. But that's my breakdown for UFC Fight Night Bonfim versus Brown. Let me know your thoughts on this card. How do you think it went? I thought, again, it was one of these Apex cards that looks bad on paper then performs. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you.